Doubles and coffee. Express. You see? Take a deep breath. Express newspaper. Doesn't it feel good to just talk the truth? Doesn't it feel good, at least for a fleeting moment, to return to the principles of journalism, of truth, of speaking truth, of analyzing, investigating, and putting opinions forward based on fact? Express newspaper. Doesn't that feel good? Now, don't get confused. I don't think that you've turned the corner and you've returned to the principles of journalism in your organization, and your editorial position has moved away from promoting the propaganda and the fake news media of the PNM. But I am one who gives Jack the jacket and Jim the gym boots. Express. I must say I'm impressed. Just pure truth. No bias. No twerking. No tweaking. No obfuscation. Just truth. Ladies and gentlemen, now this don't mean go and buy the Express. I'm just saying, because Anil did Douglas, somebody do good, you have to say so. If they're doing nonsense, you have to say so. I am hoping that this is the first spark that will engulf Express newspaper with a forest fire of journalistic integrity, fairness, and truth, which will add to our democratic process, the governance of our country, and keep our people safe. That is important because the Fourth Estate has a responsibility. The Fourth Estate, because of their lies over the last 15 years, promoting nonsense, hiring reporters who are beholden and in loving relationships with people on one side, the red side, the PNM side, and giving them positions of power to lie on others, to produce and twist the facts and create a situation of falsehood. That is what could have elevated such a miscreant, a low-character individual, a scumbucket as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a politician, and as a prime minister, Keith Christopher Rowley. Forget politics, you know. Keith Christopher Rowley is not a man. He's a mama pool. He's a nastiness. He's a scumbucket. When ladies sit down at a dinner next to him, if you happen to be a kind of a good-looking lady, you would feel like you have to go and bathe with blue soap and scrub your skin. He's that kind of individual. He's what men like me, we who grow up as men and operate on a code, call a mama pool man. He could never line with we, play cards with, because we don't tolerate that kind of thing. You understand? Taking advantage of your your ministers or those you're in charge of, taking advantage of their wives and things. That is a no-no. That is not on. Men don't do that. That is Rowley. Forget corruption and forget impropriety and forget lies and forget his integrity in public life act forms and forget his policy and his recusals and his decision to uplift those and enrich the rich. Forget all of that. As a human being, he is an amoeba. He's a slug under your foot in the drain after Cayman Pass in flood waters. That is Rowley. Having said that, I hold in my hand the Express editorial with regards to the Brian Lara fiasco, where Keith Christopher Rowley jumped out of himself and decided to just fabricate, lie, and perpetuate falsehoods, disseminated to the wider population and the world, bringing Brian Charles Lara, who has done very well to stay out of the political fray. Yes, his brother is a PNM councillor, and so that had nothing to do with Brian Lara. Yes, I get vexed with him when he didn't take his name off that corrupt stadium, but that's all right. Brian Charles Lara is a national hero for everyone, for all of us, and he's not a politician. And he has benefited from any government, and he's given back and helped our children. He's mentored, he's been a sports ambassador. But the man who disrespected him the most, Brian Charles Lara, came up to prominence back in 1992. Well, before at Fatima and so on, we knew how great he was. But he became West Indian hero, the young boy debuting, I believe, back in 1992, broke his first world record in 1994. Back then, the government was Patrick Manning and the PNM. He was going through his woes as a cricketer, captain, and so on with Courtney Walsh, while Bastio Pandey was the Prime Minister. He broke his next world record in 2004, 400 in Antigua, when Patrick Manning had been returned to power by A&R Robinson and his warped analysis and interpretation of the preamble of our Constitution. In 2010, Kamala Persad-Bissessar became Prime Minister. She continued him as a sports ambassador with a $30,000 a month stipend with Dwight York. She included Darren Ganga, Hazley Crawford, and she respected our heroes. Rowley came in and in 2016 pulled that money from all of them, took the money from Brian Lara, took the money from Dwight York, took the money from Hazley Crawford, 1976 Olympic gold medalist, took the money from Darren Ganga and never returned it. In 2022, he took away his Lara's TSCT contract, which he originally signed somewhere back in the early 2000s. I was on radio, TV, and newspapers defending B-Mobile. Up to now, I don't have a Digicel phone. Never had a Digicel number. Go and check it. Why? Because Digicel was attacking Lara back in 2004, when they took over West Indies cricket sponsorship, taking away his captaincy, making the board put him under pressure. They were even dropping him for matches and so on. And Digicel was saying that he had to give up his B-Mobile sponsorship and wear Digicel, or he must wear the Digicel and take pictures. And the debate about intellectual property rights and so on came on. And then there was the interconnectivity debate here in Trinidad and Tobago. 3 CEOs came. Dennis O'Brien had one called Maureen Rabbit, and next one, all of them wanted to meet with me and talk and try to get me off their back. I was only on their back because they were attacking our one hero, our one icon, the greatest of all time, the Muhammad Ali of cricket, Brian Charles Lara. Some will say that Tendulkar is the greatest in terms of longevity, records, number of centuries. Yes, okay, Tendulkar. But for pure brilliance and entertainment value, who you would want to pay to see, it's Brian Charles Lara. He's been above the fray. Rowley play golf for the man but take his money. Rowley play golf for the man but take his contract. Lara didn't complain because he didn't want to get involved in politics. But just so Rowley jump out himself and lie and attack Kamala, attack Barry Padarat, attack the UNC with pure blatant lies. But you see, Express has come out with an editorial that calls Rowley a liar. Could you imagine if you had done this on Emailgate, the country would not have gone through 9.5 years of Rowley and his administration. The country would not be in such great debt now. Every ministry is owing contractors, owing goods and service suppliers across the board. The overdraft limit has been maxed out. The PNM has borrowed and sucked this country dry. Jobs lost, sufferation. Kamala will fix it. The Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar will fix it one brick at a time. But could you imagine Express newspaper, had you printed the truth on your front pages when Rowley went into that parliament and desecrated it with Emailgate lies, fabrication? 29 out of 31 things could not even be called emails. And then you had a clown in a tight suit called Faris Al-Rawi telling the people, even though they weren't emails, you must analyze the content of something that did not exist. Why didn't you stand like this, Express? You would have saved our country. The devastation of the PNM, the devastation of Rowley, the devastation of Stuart Smallpin Young, the devastation of the dumbest Attorney General in history, Al-Rawi, and then the lyingest Attorney General in history, Lymore. You would have saved us from Camille. You would have saved us from Fitzgerald Ethelbert Hines. You would have saved us from that Dwayne, that imbecile, calm, arrogant imbot in a speedos down in our house, down the islands. Let me read this for you now. Express, had you done this, you would have saved our country. Parade, Independence Parade, This is what patriotism is about. Former Prime Minister expressed editorial Friday, 22nd August 2025. Former Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley owes the government, Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago (TSTT), cricket legend Brian Lara, and the nation on the brink of its 63rd independence anniversary an apology equal in its expansiveness and passion to his indignant false accusations. Seemingly out of nowhere, Dr. Rowley this week launched missiles at the United National Congress (UNC) government, describing them as Philistines and a UNC cabal and their sundry Alibabas engaged in scorched earth policy of ongoing retribution at TSTT. Some twit, he claimed, was disrespecting Mr. Lara by considering him collateral damage. Alongside that, Dr. Rowley set off fireworks of glory of the great cricketer, telling us nothing we did not know and making a case for admiration, adoration, and respect that Mr. Lara already enjoys from the TNT population and the sporting world. It turned out, says the Express newspaper, Dr. Rowley was shooting blanks. Let me read that again. It turns out Dr. Rowley was shooting blanks. His mysterious tirade on Facebook was on the basis of a mistaken belief that Mr. Lara's brand ambassador arrangement with TSTT had been terminated by the government. During Dr. Rowley's time as Prime Minister, his finance minister and former People's National Movement PNM chairman Colm Imbert would have declared with tedious repetition fake news. It was Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarat and TSTT itself that had to correct the record. Mr. Lara's contract expired 3 years ago when Dr. Rowley was still Prime Minister. The misinformation swallowed by Dr. Rowley could have been easily verified had he been seized by temperance, sobriety, discipline, and the sense of responsibility expected of a former Prime Minister, rather than hot-headed impulsivity, irritability, and impatience. Mr. Lara himself was moved to issue a statement that demonstrated the composure required of vintage public figures. He distanced himself from politics and refocused national attention where it is demanded, on national development and the interests of the nation's young people. Citing his own initiative, Sport Against Violent Energy, SAVE, which the cricketing icon said he designed to address youth violence through sport. As Dr. Rowley is well aware, says the Express, as per his Facebook post, Mr. Lara is revered by the sporting world. His batting records do indeed stand like a colossus above all else. Mr. Lara's international stature ensures that news of his activities spreads quickly around the world. That is precisely why he deserves an apology from Dr. Rowley for being drawn into a domestic political row through no fault of his own, news of which will also travel the globe. The Express continued, prior to Dr. Rowley, TNT has had only one example of a Prime Minister in retirement in the person of the late Basque Pandey, who bowed out of electoral politics 2010 after 34 years as a Member of Parliament. In the years before his death in 2024, he offered the society a model of statesmanlike interventions in the public interest that is worthy of emulation. While we sympathize with Dr. Rowley's sense of unknowing that comes with the decisive PNM electoral defeat laid at his feet, TNT, its government, and its national heroes cannot indulge him indefinitely. In other words, the Express has clearly stated, Keith Rowley, you're a pathological liar. You need to apologize to Brian Lara, to Barry Padarat, to Kamla Persad-Bissessar, to the UNC government, and to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You are disgusting, you are useless. But the problem, Express, he always was that. He never changed. Had you been doing your job, we would not have to suffer